Hi fam, it's Dylan's mum Deborah. This is Dyl Friends.
Oh my God, we've killed Michael Jordan's dad.
I won the first Brownlow. The problem with that was I wanted it again.
Hey Jared, delete the tweet.
No, we're not here to break news.
This is an exclusive.
It's so silly looking back on for me because I remember just feeling like I'm not needed.
I couldn't, in my wildest of dreams, imagine that we would win the flag at the end of the year.
Damo's a lot funnier than people give him credit for.
Hugely funny.
But Andrew, a little message came across his phone and it was, give Job his Brownlow back.
Mitchell.
Dylan.
How are you, my friend?
Good.
Long time in the making, this one.
We've had a couple of goes at it, but we're finally here.
I was just saying off air before, we nearly locked this one in, well, over 2 years ago now. Max is 2 and a bit. So we were meant to come in and then I got called in the hospital to give birth. Well, I didn't.
What excuse did you make up? I can't remember what you said.
That was it, because I actually knew that I was going to have to cancel, but I had just said something because I didn't want to tell.
Yeah, I know.
Who knows? Anyway,
Probably
good
a headache.
podcasting.
Probably a headache. Probably a headache.
Probably. Mate, congratulations, 300 games.
Thanks, mate.
Last week down at the Cattery. That was a fantastic.
You were there.
I was there, and thank you very much for the Cats put us up in an absolutely incredible room up there at
it was actually the first time they've used that room. So with the guinea pigs, and I think you've behaved yourself well enough, so they might use it again.
Yeah, well, it was a great game and great occasion. Like, I think, I don't know, when you are close to someone that has played 300 games, I think you look at the number of games, obviously that is, but then just the whole thing that goes through that. And they talk about, it takes a village to raise, someone, and your family, extended family, friends all coming over. It's a cool occasion. Yeah,
it was a great week. Especially just like, I suppose reflecting on a little bit, you hear from so many people, ex-teammates, people involved in the AFL, friends and family, obviously, and they say they pump you up, and it's weird. Like I don't love that kind of, I don't know, that part about footy really, and it's just not, it doesn't come natural to me. But you hear some good words and probably the words that you try and aspire to be, and hopefully that can last forever, and words that you want to teach your kids and things like that. So that's all nice. All being about you is, as I said, it's not necessarily something that sits comfortably with me. And then, to top off the week with a win in front of everyone and, with the kids involved, it was, pretty special. Yeah, look, I think for yourself as well, why I was so pumped for you and your family and talk about Dem, obviously my cousin. And for those out there who don't know, you're married to my cousin. So that's how, I suppose, our relationship started. But I was actually calling it Demi's 300th because I found Demi was actually enjoying the occasion more than you were. Yes.
Because you are just such a humble guy, and I think, from when we first met, you were always playing footy. You played obviously 300 games, been an absolute star of the system, and even myself sort of struggling to find my own passion the way through. You'd never made me or Taya, who's your brother-in-law, who played some footy at Hawthorn, who we'll talk about today as well. You've always just been an extremely humble, supportive guy that's made us feel a part of it as well. So the ultimate teammate, I'm sure, were the messages that people came, but just a good bloke too. And that's the last I will pump you up today. Who were some messages, I suppose, or the words that you were talking about before that you want to teach your kids? Like, I know you won't be comfortable saying this, but what were some of those messages that were there that, made you like quite proud to look back and be like, fuck, maybe I did show some of these traits throughout my career? And who from?
Oh,
lots
from a lot of people, but it's just like being yourself. Obviously, like genuine, loyal, hardworking, selfless, team player. Like they're all the things that I probably strive to be. And then hearing them even from the coach, like being reliable, like whether you're playing, and probably my biggest strength is being able to play multiple positions in a way. So kind of doing what the coach needs or the team needs was something that I really enjoyed. And, you might not get some other accolades, but like deep down I know, bloody hell, I did the job for the coach who, put a lot of trust in me. And I feel really, humbled by that. So
that's beautiful.
It's good.
Did any any message in particular like hit you? Like, was there any ex-teammates or coaches or anything that you're like, fuck, that meant a lot?
You know, it was random. I actually got a text message from Mark Rashudo, and it just Roo out of the blue. Never met him. Really, I think I've done like a couple of post-game
Welcome
interviews.
to the 300 Club.
That's nearly like what it was like, and I'm like, can't wait to do that to the next person. Like, pretty special.
That's amazing though.
Even just other AFL players, not necessarily in the 300 Club. But yeah, hearing from just like the acknowledgement is like it's something that I didn't take lightly.
And not to scare you on this either, because I'm sure you'll do a lot of great things in your life. But I think playing footy is probably one of those things that you don't quite get you never hit something where people acknowledge something that you've done again like that.
Yeah.
Like it's a massive thing. Winning grand finals and 300 games, it's a big public thing that people see. Yeah,
and I often talk about the connection. Well, I have done in the previous couple of weeks. The connections that you make through footy are priceless, really. Like, yeah, you can win grand finals and you have that, but like connections with your teammates, other players from the opposition teams, your coterie group members from your footy club, people that work at AFL, like the connections that you can make that can, last a lifetime. They might help you in the long run, they might not. You just bump into them, say good day, but they're the things that I love about, the game.
I love what you said before. Actually, I believe it or not, I'm sure you will. I don't know Chris Scott that well. Met him at your wedding.
Yes.
Long time ago. But being called reliable is a great thing to be known for, I think, especially like just in the modern world when things are so hard. And, I think for me, like I look back at like what I'd love people to say about me and, consistent, reliable, those things are like great attributes to have. So it's a credit to yourself on that.
Thanks, mate.
Hey, lots to get through today. Lots to get through, Mon. We're excited for today's episode, and as we said, it's been a while in the making. Let's go. Hey, you were actually just telling me off air before you listened to the Coaches series.
I did, mate.
Yes.
Well, it's kind of something that down the line I might want to pursue.
Yeah,
I suppose. But you never know you want to be a senior coach, I suppose, until you do some part of coaching, and I haven't necessarily done that much. So, but just hearing their stories and what they think's really important, how they've changed since they've played, because a lot of them have played the game. So just keeping a little notebook of a few things.
Who impressed you the most out of the coaches?
I really enjoy how Sam Mitchell talked about empathy, like from when he played to when he was a coach. He probably thought two different things. Like when he was playing, he was probably all about himself a little bit more compared to when he's a coach. He thinks a lot more about how other people were motivated, not by what he's motivated by. Adam Uze being the runner and learning the game that way kind of helped him as well. And just, I suppose I think he played over 200 games non-stop as well. Like he's really high on that. That was interesting. Coxie, how he made the boys do two 2Ks, but he said that's kind of what Woosha did to him. So, and it was more about seeing how they reacted to the news rather than actually how they ran. Who else? Kingers, yeah. I actually didn't finish that one.
Okay, you should. That was actually one of my favourites.
Yeah, that's the next one. Yeah. It's so interesting going to, I suppose, GWS where a lot of players aren't from Sydney. So just how much they get their families involved. I think they often have a get-together when they come down and beat us usually at GMHBA.
Sure.
They seem to enjoy that ground and they seem to have a bit of a get-together that night or that weekend. But yeah, looking forward to finishing that one.
It's really interesting as well, and we're probably just diving in today to everywhere. We'll bounce around a bit, but I suppose if you don't mind talking about the last probably couple of years for you, last year and this year, I suppose. Obviously, we'll go into the success in the grand finals at some period, which I'm very excited about. But talk us through, I suppose, the transition for yourself over the last couple of years. How's that's been with your eyes opening? Coming towards not the end, but later in your year. You played a lot of senior football throughout that time, and you're talking before about the empathy from Sam Mitchell and understanding, I suppose, the holistic side of your teammates and club. Like, talk us through maybe what you were like in that period while winning flags and really stalwart team member in the team. Obviously you are now, but then towards the end where you have found yourself having conversations like, let's go back and play a bit of VFL footy and thinking about what is next for you after a long career.
Yeah, I think when you're in the moment and you're in the team most weeks, it probably is focusing on more yourself and just those people around you that you're going to help and they're helping you, and obviously how to beat the opposition. Especially this year, definitely, and towards maybe the latter half of last year, I kind of really started thinking about, what it looks like for me when I come to the end of my time. Obviously, 34 this year. Reality is that, it's not far away. So how am I going to make the transition as best as I can, as easy as possible, really? So doing a few courses in the coaching space and bringing that back to the people at our footy club. So we've got our academy group that we, I never probably connected with as much when I was in the team. This is coming back to that.
So is academy is like the first of 3 players, is it?
Yeah, pretty much.
And you never spoke to them?
Well, it's just harder to connect when you get a bit older, and then you have kids. They look at you probably as like, geez, you're old and you've got 3 kids. I'm 18, 19 and doing whatever I want. Got no responsibilities in the world. So
reminder as well, you actually have 4 kids.
4,
now.
sorry.
Yeah.
No, I do. Sorry, Parker. So being able to connect with those guys is, I think it's going to help me once I potentially become a coach, because it's like, geez, you can't forget about these guys. They're actually really important for our footy club to bring the next wave through and keep the club evolving. And there's certainly other messages. I spent a lot of time with Mark Worthington, who's our player welfare manager, just about how I suppose you want to leave your legacy. And as you spoke about before, playing VFL footy, I was really excited by that because I'm like,
were you though early?
Well, I think if you have the right conversations with the right people, senior coach, general manager Andrew Mackey, Chris Scott, Steve Hawkins, it's like we're going to effectively give you the opportunity to play your 300 game, but you might find yourself in the other side playing VFL footy, and I think for me personally, like that's so good to help with my transition. Yeah. Post that, I get to play with these young kids, teach them on the field. It's kind of like an older head on the young shoulders, really, and try and fast track them to become who they want to be and, the people we want them to be for the footy club. So that's what this year's been. And it's been one of the most enjoyable years. I played 3 VFL games. I think we lost 1. But yeah, just my time there, and it got me in a great headspace for when I came into the AFL team, to be able to, really just enjoy the moment, because there ain't going to be too many more probably. But we'll wait and see. I'm also, coding our game.
Yeah, that's awesome.
So like watching out, mainly only the AFL game, and then helping like a Jack Bowes with a few edits, a Mitch Nevitt, Lawson Humphreys. So that's kind of given me great reward when you sit down with those guys and, nut out a few things that's going on.
Yeah. 2 parts to that. I think one is, it's a credit to yourself how you've done that, because for context, and I know a lot of people out there would understand in their other industries, but in football, not many people leave with that mindset, and, you can get bitter instead of getting better.
Yep.
And Wertho, one of the absolute greats, with that advice to like leaving your own legacy and how you want to leave that. Like I, definitely didn't leave any real legacies at any club. So to be able to, for me, it was like, how can I do that in the next thing I'm doing?
Yeah.
But for you to be able to have that awareness and do that at a period, and obviously it shows the guy that you are, but helps then build your legacy and help other people on the way through. But there must, and I think that there must have been a point there where there was a struggle to change, because I think like it had to be a part.
Yeah,
where
towards the end of last year was probably the hardest.
Yeah,
like you kind of think you should be playing, and you end up being the sub for the prelim.
Yeah,
so I kind of like that final series was a real changer for me. I'm like, geez, these young kids are absolutely, putting it to me really.
Yeah,
and So then having the conversations at the end of the year and then the start of this year with the right people kind of switched me to like, well, I'm going to get the opportunity to keep doing what I love, and how can I best be in the best mindset to actually really enjoy the year? Otherwise, it's going to be a really hard year because you're going to be on the other side. If you're not enjoying walking through the doors, it's like you're not going to give to the young kids. You're not going to get better. And I'm still trying to get better every day.
Yeah.
Like that's...
You know what's funny as well? You are in... So when you're in some of the best physical condition I've ever seen you at the moment.
Yeah.
At Christmas, Mitch wasn't even literally eating anything, but you physically are pristine condition. You used to carry around a fair bit of tyres around your stomach.
Just a bit of junk
because
in the trunk.
It's never made me flatter. I think we must have been over in Perth one year for Christmas, and we're doing a running session, and me and Taya were absolutely smoking Mitch in this running session. And he had a couple ties around his guts. And I think that year me and Tay both got delisted and Mitch won like a premiership or something like that. It was just like the worst fucking feeling ever. But what's talk us through quickly like the change in there? Yeah, the change there.
Yeah, I sat down with James Kelly. He was a defensive coach, and we're kind of just speaking like this is part of the end of the last year stuff. It was a mid-season buy, I reckon, and we're like, how can I keep trying to get better? I've got to keep improving. Game's getting faster. Cats are probably playing a bit faster. So it's like, well, how can we help you do that? And we just spoke about nutrition. It's probably just becoming a bit more of a professional. Think about yourself as like, you know, you're just coming into the system and you're doing everything you can to keep playing. And at that stage, I actually wasn't sure if I wanted to keep going on, like, as in for this year. So I was kind of, 50-50 there. But then once I started doing all this stuff again, like thinking I was 18, like got to work really hard, I was like, no, I think I want to keep going. And then so diet, I've heard Harry Sheaves will talk about the whole foods diet, and it's very similar to that is what I kind of did.
Did you sort of get inspo from that?
Oh, I can't remember.
So it's pretty cool though. I think like humility of like, not humility is probably the wrong word, but I think when you're an older statesman, 2-time premiership player, you're like, what the fuck can I learn off someone else?
Yeah.
But like you can.
No, 100%. And these young kids are so much more professional, I think, these days than what I was when I was first drafted or when other players were first drafted.
Yeah, because you used to run around with a couple of spare tyres around there.
Mate, I was never that bad. Jesus.
There was times at the Christmas where I was really happy to stand next to Mitch for some
cool.
photos.
We're on our...
this is rough.
We're on holidays, mate.
Sorry.
I think you were going to come in and get roasted
that's
today.
That's only because you look like this light pole here. That's why. And so, you got to learn, be able to be open to learning from everyone. Yeah. And I think you learn that as you get a bit older. But so I just focused a bit more on my diet, a little bit more whole foods, way more protein than I was getting in. I was always kind of like, I don't want to get too heavy, so I don't want to eat too much protein. But it's just learning more about, what to eat, when to eat it. And it took me 32 years. And I spoke to our academy group early in the year, and it was like, you think you know what you're doing, but there's always something more you can be doing. And you don't want to leave it too late. Like, I'm lucky I've, won a lot of games of footy, played well enough. But had I done that, maybe I would have been even better. Or maybe we would have done this. And you don't want to finish your career with, shoulda, coulda, woulda, So just making sure they're trying to get everything out of themselves.
Who do you think in your career, like teammates, played alongside with, could be coaches, anything, because there's so many good people down there at Geelong, and the recipes, the proof's in the pudding of the success that it's been. Like, who's been some guys that have stood out in that professionalism side over your time that you've been like, geez, they're full on?
One that it's not necessarily a massive. Sam Menegola, the way he prepared for footy, his diet, the way he worked extremely hard. He's one that stands out to me. Someone like Zach Guthrie, just from where his body was to where he is now. Like, he's an absolute machine.
He's a beast.
He's a beast in the gym, man. Like, he pushes some serious numbers.
Yeah, he was.
Which you wouldn't really expect, but he was someone that I kind of jumped on the back of. And going back to, like, learning from young guys, the end of the second half of last year, I'm like, I'm gonna follow this bloke in the gym, and I'm going to try and lift as much as he is, even though I'm a bit older, and he smashes me. But like, I was gravitating towards these young guys because I knew they were going to make me better, and that's what keeps you going in a footy club. Like, you're still competitive, so you want to beat them. So you try and beat them, if you know what I mean. And that's what makes the footy club keep improving. These young guys keep coming through. At the end of the day, you don't really want them to take your spot. So you're trying everything you can to do it. And that time will come where, you know, they do, and that's fine because you know you've helped them along the way, and the club is in a really good position going forward.
How do you summarise, or how do you come to terms with like guys like, say, Jack Henry, Zach Guthrie, there's probably 15 others that I'm going blank on at the moment, but guys that are so integral to Geelong, but I somewhat feel, and this is no disrespect to them, hopefully, they might not be getting a game at any other club, but at Geelong, they're so important for their list and they've gotten the most out of themselves. Like, how do you feel like that happens?
Yeah, I think those two probably will get a game at most other clubs.
Yeah, that's not. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
But would they have probably, like where they're now, obviously they'd get a game, but at the beginning when they're 18, maybe they would have got filtered out by the system if they didn't have the right development. Yeah, that's 100%. Probably what I mean.
Yeah, that's definitely. And I think that about...
Sorry, Zach and Jack. I love those guys, by the way.
Well, I think that about myself too.
Yeah, right.
Like, there's so much luck involved, like in a draft system when you're 18. And no disrespect to any other club. I could have gone to a Melbourne, maybe even Carlton. Like,
you're sitting here right next to me.
Or Essendon. Like, you think of the... I don't want to bring this up, but I think about the drug saga.
Yeah.
Like, of course, I probably would have just listened to them. And,
of course.
You know,
no, we all would have.
Yeah, it's just part of nature. And, you know, I was lucky I had these leaders and such a solid foundation of a footy club, stability, things like that, where I was able to learn. And, there's a little bit of yourself that, you know, you have to want it and work hard and all that kind of jazz. But the people around you, I was so lucky to have those guys because, maybe my career would have been completely different if it wasn't at Geelong. And I thank Wellesley every day, just about. Every time I walk past him, Wellesley, thanks for picking me 15 years ago. Like, it's just so lucky.
Pick 28. So obviously, 28. You know, first round back then, was it?
Second round.
Probably
Probably first round this year.
First round this year, literally.
The academy picks.
So I suppose, like, you know, to play 300 games at pick 28, I'm sure there's been other players do that before, but I think at that pick, you know, there's probably guys that have not played a game at that pick as well. So, you know, I think that you would have got there wherever you were, but I think you're right in the sense that, like, there is something in timing and those things too, like for everything. Yeah. But you've definitely done the work. Who then, when you got there, say back in, because you premiership in your first year. Second year.
Yep.
You were the sub, come on and kick a nice snaggy.
Oh, yeah. Yep.
Who were the guys that were really, you know, driving those standards then, do you think? Or was it, you know, you've never been anywhere else, right? You've been at Geelong your whole career. And Isaac Smith, a good friend of yours and been on the pod a few times, friend of mine, love that man. He's a very cheeky guy. I'm not sure if he actually likes me or hates me, but I think we're pretty sure we're friends.
Just a bit of mutual respect.
Mutual respect. He'll let me know, though, that I was, he's won 4 flags.
Yeah.
Has he won 4 or 5?
4.
Moving on.
He lets everyone know about that.
He does.
And he should have won 2 Norm Smiths or 3 Norm Smiths.
For someone that throughout his career, like, I never realised how healthily arrogant he was. Like, and it's just really coming.
He's got a confidence.
It's healthily confident is the word. It's a good confidence. But he talks about this point a bit, and I love bringing it up. And I'm sorry if I talk about it too much to those listening, but around like the reason, you know, going to Geelong, he chose Geelong over other clubs is because of that stability of like board and coaches and the administration. Like, do you feel that? And I suppose, you know, it might take for you to experience a club that doesn't have that if you end up going anywhere else throughout your time to understand what that's like.
I suppose you see it. Like, you definitely know that the club's stable, definitely. Obviously, there's not much change. I've had the same senior coach for, you know, every year but one for me, my first year. You know, Neil Baum, Steve Hawkins, Simon Lowe, Andrew Mackey, all general managers of footy and all big in the AFL landscape, really. Only a couple of presidents. So, like, you feel the stability there when, you know, there's other clubs. You see the instability some other clubs have had. And, you know, whether that's right or wrong or through decision making. Who knows? But I think that definitely helps. It does help probably when you're winning too, though. So
exactly.
It's hard to really comment on because we've been lucky enough to win more games than we've lost. It probably helps with the stability at the same time, but comes back to making the right decisions, employing people. It's
a lot of stuff.
Yeah.
Do you reckon it comes down to as well? Like I remember, Jez was coming down from Geelong actually a while ago, and it was it must have been last year or the year before when you were sort of losing a few games, and everyone's like, "Oh, is Geelong going to still have the days off and whatnot?" Like, does it come down to not panicking, or are there still times that panic, but you just know where to go to, where to come back to?
It's interesting because we haven't necessarily been in those situations. I don't think I've lost it more than 3 games in a row, personally.
Wow.
I think we didn't make finals after after 2022, so I think that's the year that he's probably talking about, where we lost a few more games than we would have liked, and we're still really confident in our game style. I think so. That it's actually hard to talk about because you don't. By doing more meetings, that's probably not. It's not necessarily.
It's going to stress you out even more.
Yeah, it's going to stress you out even more, create more anxiety. Even at training, when there's ranting and raving, it just creates more anxiety for a player, I think. And you talk about skill level, missing kicks. I'm like, as I just said, it creates more anxiety in the modern way. I mean, when it's spoken about a lot more, and there's probably the more softer side of people is being exposed.
Yeah,
exposed the right word. Is coming out.
Mm-hmm.
So the coaching landscape has changed a lot. And I think Scotty was at the forefront of that in terms of the environment he was trying to set. With the time off, like we still have meetings, but we don't necessarily sit there for like an hour and a half delving into, the minor issues. That's kind of up to the coaches. Like I think the game against GWS, and I hope he doesn't mind me saying this, we defended the ground really bad, like horrendously. We watched one edit for the meeting, and that was it for 20 minutes. But it covered like 5 different points that was so important for the way we played. And then I think we come out and won 2 games since. Like, so it's so interesting, like the psyche of coaching, and is less is more, or more is
less. And even. One thing that I probably learned through that coaches series too, and I remember Leon Cameron talking about this once, was around you can have a coaching philosophy or the way you want to coach, but you've actually got to coach the team you have.
Oh, 100%.
So whether, I remember he was talking about it in the sense of they used to call it like the orange Lamborghini or whatever, the orange tsunami. I don't know where I got Lamborghini from, but the orange tsunami. And he was like, is this the way I want to coach? He goes, it's probably not my first way I want to play, but the players I have, this is the best way to coach them. And I was like, fuck, that's genius.
Well, you can't have a game plan.
Doesn't suit your team. And that happened.
Well, you're going to be searching for a lot of answers.
Do you know where I reckon that happened? And I'm not sure Mick Moldhouse listens to this show, so I don't think it would matter. But I reckon that happened when Mick went from Collingwood and then came to Carlton. Like he tried to do the exact same Collingwood game plan. Yeah. And do it at another team when you didn't have the same team. It just didn't have the
same cattle. Yeah.
It didn't suit.
No, you definitely. I think you have to make changes, and then over time you recruit and
bring him in
to the style that you want to try and implement. But in coaching, you don't have that much time these days. So and maybe we should give them more time to actually get what they fully want. Like look at kind of like an Andrew McGoldrick who's just landed at the Eagles. You can kind of just start to see the fruits of the labour in the last few weeks, and he's only been there 6 months.
Yeah.
So like give him another 18 months to 2 years. There's definitely going to be improvement there, and then he'll recruit and try and get the people that he needs to help him.
Yeah, it's a 3-4 year thing that takes.
And it's going to be a little bit harder with the Tassie team coming in, with the draft and I suppose the dilution of talent a little bit through the draft system. So it's one to watch. It's good. It's exciting.
Andrew Mackey, good friend of yours, and close with your family as well, like the kids and everything like that. How is that managing when you go from like Andrew going to so he's general manager, is he? GM of Footy, and then a good mate, and then you're still playing, and relationships like how does that?
Yeah, it's an interesting one. So he did like a bit of recruiting, list management stuff. Then he was a list manager.
Yeah,
and now he's still list manager but head of Footy. Last year I kind of struggled with it at times. Like probably kept it to myself and let it bottle. And then you think about stuff probably that you shouldn't. But this year I've been so different. Like we kind of broke that barrier down, and that's no fault of Max. Like he's a great personal person. It was probably just more myself, and didn't really want to get in the way with him. Trying to keep it professional, and we keep it very professional still. But it's hard. It was hard at times, but I think we're through that now, and we have great conversations. And they're the conversations I was talking about earlier about, this is what it might look like. Are you still happy with that? We're going to give you the opportunity, but you're going to have to work for it, which effectively is what happens. And I thank him for his honesty, because it's hard. It's probably pretty hard for him as well. But yeah, such a close mate. Really, probably a really close mate. Really good mentor for me, and someone that I'm glad that I've got in my corner. Yeah.
Yeah, he's a ripper. I've got to hit him back because we're going to get him on the podcast as well.
That's going to be hard. I'll be honest, it'll be hard to get him up here. But
we might have to we might have to go on the road, man. We'll work that out.
No, if he come to Melbourne, it would just be hard to get him in here.
No, he said he's keen. I spoke to him at Jez's wedding,
there you go.
but it could have been like a mate. Yeah, no worries. Work it out.
That's a few cordials.
Yeah, exactly. And I suppose as well, like your close friends throughout that time, Tom Hawkins, he's actually coming out of retirement, playing for Beaufort this weekend.
I'm feeling for the person that has to play on him. If he gets his arms up, it's going to be hard to get around.
What was it like, honestly, playing with him at your best? Because I think like Geelong's best and you too, because I have a theory, always keeping a close eye on yourself. Like I don't reckon there's a combo that have hit each other up more in the forward 50 than you and him.
Yeah, there's one more. Who do you reckon? Not at Geelong. Different club.
So that's actually a fact. There's one more.
One more that's kind of done it more time. More goal assists.
Is it current?
Not anymore, no. They had a really good era for a while.
So it'd have to be Hawthorn.
No, next one. Next dynasty.
Richmond?
Yeah.
Dusty and Jack?
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah. Dusty to Rewald. I think Rewald kicked more goals. Maybe Hawk missed a few.
Yeah, I think that's what it was. I think that's what it was.
There's stats out there. I think then it's Joel and Hawk, and then Stephen Motlop and Hawk.
Wow. So Hawk's in the top four with three guys.
Sorry, that's it. Those three are at Geelong.
Yeah.
I don't know overall.
Overall, okay.
If someone can look that up,
awesome. I'm sure we'll get the answer for that. Yeah. But playing with him, obviously a great mate, and then the cohesion on and off the field must have been amazing.
Yeah, it's awesome. And then you throw in the likes of Joel as well, who those two are thick as thieves as well. No, it's awesome, and I suppose you go through the journey with them, the ups and downs. Like we made so many prelims, didn't quite get there, and then 2022, how it all kind of panned out, being Joel's last year, and finally getting there again after so many losses, and it was a bit of a relief, but it was so great to be on that journey, and I think it made it even specialer because we'd kind of what had happened. You're throwing COVID in there. It's funny to think about COVID, isn't it? Makes it all special. You build a family. So that day was pretty special. But yeah, the journey you're going with those guys, and you probably spend more time with them than you do with your family. Like being at a footy club or coming into work. It's so how can you not love those guys? And when they achieve their successes as well, you're just so proud of them. Like Hawk's a games record holder. I think he had a lot of achievements in his last year. 350, then the games record, and then obviously retirement as well. Someone that achieved so much was so special to be able to be on his journey as well.
Yeah, they're both absolute stars and terrific people. But you surround yourself with people that you are like yourself. So it's a credit to all you boys and what you've been able to build. I suppose as well on a serious note, with post that game as well with Joel. You spoke about it on television as well, but I think I don't even know where to go with this, but I think like just having those conversations is so important, and just bringing an awareness of what he's been through with Adam and Troy and the family, and how much that's, I suppose, impacted not just just the wider community, and how much love that we want to send to them, and everyone else, and the message to everyone else that it's okay not to be okay and look after ourselves.
Yeah, I think it's a massive one, and I spoke about before, like I think all the draftees and stuff coming in now are a lot softer natured than when I first came to the club, and they're a lot more aware, and through people like yourself talking about it all the time, and the awareness that it's creating, it's actually helping people, which is really important. So yeah, if you are struggling, it is important to speak to people that you value and you trust, and it doesn't have to be necessarily a family member or anything. It could be anyone. And he's got, back to Joel, he's gone through a bit of a shitty time, and we send love to that family. But it's amazing how, as you said, it impacts so many people, like people over in the West, people in Brisbane for Troy, people in Victoria, people at schools, people where they're from. Like it's so big, and hopefully that's just created more awareness for people out there that are struggling in general.
Yeah, well said, Buddy Oath, and sending our love to the Selwood family and the wider community, that's for sure, for that one. Mate, let's talk about some success. 2 grand finals.
2 grand final wins, 3
2
grand finals.
2 wins, 1 loss. With the loss against Richmond, wasn't
Richmond,
it? Yeah, that was a close game too.
It was until
Dusty flicked it a bit.
Yeah, Dusty just turned it on.
Yeah. Doesn't COVID Gabba doesn't really,
asterisk?
Yeah, it's a bit of an asterisk there on that one, and I always find it quite funny. Like Melbourne's one over in Perth.
Yeah,
it counts obviously, but it's
different.
It's different.
Yeah,
winning on the G would be nice. Yeah, well, you would know. What's your memories of the first one? Because you were only, as you said, second year. Come on,
20, I reckon.
20. That team.
I know.
As well. Stacked.
Yeah, it's amazing. I wonder if they'll say the 22 team is stacked in 15 years' time.
I always think about that too,
so
because I think maybe it's just because when we're younger and we're looking at guys going like, holy shit, they're really. But maybe the same people are thinking that about. Yeah.
But they did win 3 and 5 years, so maybe that makes a bit of a difference. But
I'm just looking through this now. So Jimmy Bartell was a Norm Smith. Chris Scott was the coach.
Yeah, you got like Joel Corey, Cameron Ling, Brad Ottens, Hawk, Josh Hunt, Wajinski, Scarlett, Enright.
It's fucked up. Johnson, you said.
Johnson,
Chapman, Stevie J, Brad Ottens, Varco.
Trevi Varco kicked
Josh
the first
Hunt.
2 goals that game.
Mackey. Yeah, that was amazing. Kicked the first 2
Tom
goals.
Lonergan.
Lonners.
After all what he'd been through. Oh, man.
Yeah.
It's great to be able to reflect on things like that. But going back to that week, I remember Scotty telling me on the Tuesday that I was definitely in the 23. And then they just had to wait a little bit with Stevie because he hurt his knee.
So when you say 23, does that mean like you were playing but not sure if you're sub or playing?
Yeah. I think it was a bit dependent on Stevie's knee. But that's all. I'm 20. I'm like, how good is this? Like, probably took it. Well, definitely took it for granted though at the time. Like when you think about it, like you're like, oh, back here soon. Got a great team. These guys are unbelievable. Getting carried, like effectively got carried to a flag, and I thank them for that because I suppose it never gets taken away from you. But I never kind of really felt like a part of it early days, and even now, like you definitely were. But I suppose when you kick a goal, I was lucky enough to come on before half time, so I had a bit of game time.
Who got subbed off?
James Podsiadly.
Podsiadly did his shoulder.
Yeah. Kicked a goal, which was great. But yeah, kind of the rest of it is a bit of a blur. But kind of never felt a massive part of it. So that was like the second one was obviously you feel a lot more entrenched in the team, and you've been part of the journey for so long, the ups and downs. You've kind of had your your own spin on how the footy club should operate a little bit, and the people you got there. So yeah, I'll definitely look at the 22 one as more of a magical piece.
Talk us through that year. Like, what stands out to you through the final series or the game itself? Like, does anything?
22, you're talking?
22, yeah. Like the week leading in. Like, did Scotty do anything differently?
Nah, not necessarily. I think we'd won. I think by the time we won the granny, we won 16 games in a row, which it kind of became a little bit nerve wracking. Like, oh, which one are you going to lose? But we're lucky enough to keep it ticking over. There was the game against Collingwood. Gary Rowan took that mark and pretty much effectively won us the game and got us into the prelim and then won the granny. But after that game, I think it's been talked about that just didn't feel like we played our way. We were a bit timid and allowed Collingwood to play the game that they wanted to play. And from there, we kind of spoke about, let's make it really uncomfortable for the opposition. Let's just attack them. We kind of use the analogy of swimming between the flags or taking them out to deep water. We didn't want to play safe, so we didn't want to swim between the flags. We actually wanted to take our opposition out to deep water and drown them effectively.
I like that.
But that was kind of our little analogy that we used for the next couple of games, and it seemed to work. We attacked, the games full head on, and I think we won the prelim by 50 points and the granny by something similar. So kind of never forget that analogy. But Scotty not a massive storyteller.
Really?
No.
That was my next question was like, is, looking into coaching yourself and taking that route, do you think do you like the themes? Because I'm a big theme. I loved themes.
Love themes.
Yeah, like I don't know if they worked or not, but I enjoyed like going into a game and we've spoken to a lot about Damien Hardwick and some of his themes and
there's a lot of time and effort.
Yeah,
gets
and,
put
and
into
you
them.
fucking run out of them too.
Yeah,
like, you got to quickly find them.
come up with new ones. I don't think I'll be heavily into themes.
Yeah,
just probably because I haven't been exposed to them that much. And I don't feel like you need a motivator player, or you shouldn't have to motivate a player to play well or get the best out of them as well. You're a professional athlete. It's what you kind of do. But there's definitely times where you need certain little things just to sharpen the focus, or there's a real hard block of games coming up. Let's really narrow our focus into that, and you might come up with something, like an analogy or climbing Everest or something like that. Nah, not really that, but but teams do.
I know what you mean. Yeah,
teams do. So there's certain a time and a place, but I don't think I'll have a different theme each week where we need to strangle our opposition. So
I think that's definitely the way to be. It's a less emotional side of thing, and footy's turning into more like coaching is like managing now, right?
Yeah.
It's more about just working things and being actually quite level-headed on where it goes. And I remember we had Anthony Clarick on the podcast last week, and we've had a couple other mindset sort of guys. You should listen to the Clary one. Anthony Clarick, he worked at Hawthorn and at Brisbane last year, and he's still there now doing the grand final stuff, and he was at Carlton too. But spoke a lot about like it was Jonah Oliver actually who said this. He's a Cam Smith's psychologist. He's like, the worst thing you can ever do for an athlete is go to the big stage and be like, today we need the biggest effort you've ever had. Yeah. It's like, it's actually the opposite. Yeah, you've just got to come back to like system and process. It's everything we've ever done before. You just got to quickly do the same thing.
Yeah. Well, I kind of thought, like, it's funny though, because we'd been winning so much that year, towards the end of the year, it was like, oh, we don't have to go and do anything different. But we probably just were a bit passive. Yeah. So like, kind of contradicts what you're saying a little bit. It was like, no, we just got to be more aggressive. Yeah. But still do our fundamentals really well.
The same.
Like, I think fundamentals, when it gets to finals, you win your games at big finals. Like, just doing the little things right over and over again, like the basics, boring stuff. And it's usually the things that people don't really notice about what your system's about, whether it's, it could be a knock-on, it could be holding the ball in, just little things like that. That you probably value a bit more inside the four walls than what the public see.
Didn't want to, sorry to jump in here and obviously the podcast is fascinating and it's a great chat, but a little cheeky surprise. If you go on Dyl Friends Instagram and comment "Go Cats" on the photo of Mitch and I, that is there, we are going to pick a couple lucky winners to win a free Dyl Friends hoodie. We have some new merch out at the moment. We want to get some people there, but we love setting those little code words in. It worked really well last week with Anthony Clarica. Get on there, get in quick, and we'll be announcing that after about 24 hours. Just speaking of like the 2022 game or even just any big finals win that you've had, I love those moments that in the four walls, you're like, holy shit, that won us the game, but outside no one else would know.
Yeah.
Does anything stand out to you in your career, like from other times where have been big moments in games, grand finals, prelims, any finals where you've been like, holy shit, this was so rewarded and it stands out to me still versus no one else would still know about it? That players or teammates have done? Or it's probably lots of finals.
There's a few finals. Nah. You know, the one that sticks in my head, and we're on the losing end of this one, was when Richmond just started to get going. I think it might have been 2017.
Oh, I know what you're going to say.
And
Cochin?
No, not that one, but I was involved in that.
Yeah.
No. I think it was Brandon Ellis and Danger had a contest, you know, on a wing or half forward. And it was a great contest by both of them. And about 5 blokes got around Brandon.
Yeah.
And no one got around Pat. And I think I've heard Dimmer talk about it, and little things like that are, I suppose, what brings your culture together a little bit. And that's one that I remember from the opposition.
That's really good.
Yeah, opposing side. But there's heaps of like just little tackles here and there. Like Tom Atkins is brilliant for that stuff. Mark O'Connor's really good for that stuff. And they're, you know, turn themselves into better than role players, but that's where they probably started. And they're the blokes that you just like, you need in your side.
Yeah.
And to help build real good culture in your footy club.
Yeah, I can imagine how much they'd be celebrated between the four walls. We were talking earlier about the coaches stuff and like learning from specific people. And, you know, as you mentioned, you've been at a club that has had arguably one of the best coaches of this generation, really. Couple generations, nearly. What do you think, and I feel like maybe once you finish with him and experience something else, you'll probably realise what was even more so good or bad or whatever you want to take. But what do you think are like main points that you want to take from the Geelong coaching that you've really enjoyed throughout your career? Because 15 years you've had with him now, right? You only had Bomber for one and then Scotty
for the rest, yeah. So this is my 16th year. So nearly 15 years. It's a good question because if I was to leave, you obviously you experience something else, but you might not be able to do it at another club. Like I feel like geographically Geelong enables us to do what we can do sometimes by limited amount of traffic. So you can set a later start time. Like I can do school pickup and school drop off in the one day on a main session day. Like I just don't think that's like you can't do that. Everywhere. I don't think in Melbourne. Yeah. But with traffic and, you know, where some people live compared to where they play, it's like so. Setting that type of environment would be hard in Melbourne, maybe interstate. But I think that's really important because when you come to work, you actually, you know, your intent is really high. The intensity's, you're there to train. You're getting the best out of yourselves. And then you don't just spending time at the club for no reason. I think that's really important. Obviously, the right people, you know, it helps.
So who are the assistants at the moment you've got?
Yeah, we've got some real senior assistants at the minute. James Riley, been in the footy world for a long time.
Who's James?
He played at the Cats for a bit,
Riley,
yeah. Coached development for a while at Geelong when I first got there. Then he was a forwards coach, went to Adelaide.
Yeah, right.
And then he came back this year. 2 years ago. A year, not this season, last season. Stephen King, James Kelly, and there are 3 assistants. So pretty senior assistants in the AFL world. and we have a pretty senior coach as well. So they would obviously have great conversations, pick up trends of the game really well, which is something that I really enjoy as well. So love chatting to them and learning from them.
I think you've nailed at the start though, like what works at Geelong might not work somewhere else, and that's like we talk about that Mick Moldhouse thing earlier. Like you can't just bring things from other places. You got to be able to use different stuff at different times.
Yeah, you got to be flexible and have the ability to pivot. And I think during COVID you had to do that.
Yeah.
So you learned a lot. Like you didn't know what was going to happen in a week's time. Like you could be out of the state, or we were lucky enough to keep playing footy and doing what we love, and hopefully we're putting smiles on other people's faces that were stuck at home. But you had to have that flexibility and ability to change, and I think we've kind of kept that mantra, because footy is an imperfect game. It's never perfect. There's always different scenarios. The game is 360. People are moving around all the time. We've got an odd shaped ball, bounces randomly, but it's how can you clean up your mistakes the best, whether it's on field or whether it's off field, and doing that collectively all together is really important.
I love it. That's a good pitch. You should put that in your presentation. I like that. Clip that up on and have that as the opener. Yeah. Hey, have you been hanging out with Teach lately?
Teach?
Yeah.
No, he's moved on to Baz now.
He likes Baz now.
He gets the headband.
Yeah,
Baz.
Okay, so he's not in the 22 anymore.
Nah, I don't know if he's ever been in the 22. Nah, he's a great man. I've never met anyone like him though.
Very passionate supporter.
Passionate, generous.
Yeah,
very generous. What he's given back to the footy club, to the players. I think back to 2022. He clipped up every clipping from the paper that you were in, or maybe it was over the grand final kind of stretch, and presented it to you with a jumper and just all out of his own financial. What's the word I'm looking for?
Yeah, his own pocket,
his own money.
That's amazing,
and it's just so generous. But someone we give, he's a legend. Obviously, we often try and get him in the team photos. You see him in the back of the cafe, like, Teach, come on, mate. Come into the photo, and he loves it. He's and not just the AFL, VFL as well, very passionate about those guys. Often wears, in the freezing cold, he'll wear a jumper and shorts because that's what the players are wearing.
What a fucking legend.
I know.
Absolute star.
And every club has those type of people, and they just mean so much to the the footy club and the players.
Teach video of when Jimmy Bartell dropped him home or something in the car.
That one.
Oh, no, sorry.
I think it was when Gary Ablett left.
Was that what it was? Something.
He got upset.
There's one when there's one when I think like Jimmy Bartell was like out at a pub or something. He goes, Teach, can you drop me home? It was just like the best day of his life.
I love that.
Absolute
we should
champion.
actually call on him more for that kind of stuff.
Yeah, he's a star.
Yeah.
Because you met Benny Raimondo outside.
Yeah.
And he works with us now. He's a Geelong boy. He's actually just moved down to come work with us. Great guy. He was wondering if when Catman finishes up, if he can take over Catman's.
You'd have to ask Catman. I actually haven't met Catman.
There you go.
Personally.
Yeah.
I've seen a few videos.
Maybe he already is Catman.
Maybe.
Yeah.
He's in disguise. But you know who loves Catman? I mean, you know who Catman loves?
Who?
He's Bailey as well.
Oh, okay. They all love Bailey, don't they? Well, we should talk about Bailey. I haven't forgot about that. But it was your 300th last week, but it was actually more important. It was Bailey's game back. What's it been like since he's come down to the club? Because I think a lot of people probably thought, like, is this going to work with a big personality coming down to Geelong? Is it going to stuff up the feng shui of the culture or those sort of things? Like that were probably some of the murmurs getting around. Like how have you seen it? How have you seen how he's been performing this year? Because it doesn't look like it's phased him too much.
Nah, he's actually come in. I reckon he's got great leadership traits, to be honest. Like he speaks up all the time in terms of game knowledge, getting the blokes up for the game. I think he could be a great leader, from now until he finishes footy. But just his work ethic, his ability to get around his teammates, it's been first class. Couldn't fault it. And then backing it up with his performance. So I think he's been a great acquisition for the footy club. Loved having him there, and someone that I'm enjoying working with. Yeah, there's a few more outside distractions, but I don't think any of them have been that bad, and I don't think they are affecting him at all. Obviously, he's in Brownlow form, but I've really enjoyed my time so far with Baz.
Baz Linker. The other one as well, who he could be my favourite player, and I know the boys, your boys love him as well, Ollie Dempsey.
Yeah.
He's just, incredible to watch him play.
One of the family favourites, that's for sure. Had him round for dinner a couple of times, and the boys, it's so funny, they call him the full name.
Ollie Dempsey.
My kids call every player their full name. Jack Bowes, Tanner Bruin, everyone.
Ollie Dempsey.
They're like, hey, Ollie Dempsey, come here.
Yeah.
It's so funny. But yeah, he's such a beautiful kid, raised by great family, and he's talented, isn't he?
Oh, he's amazing.
He's I think he's kicked the most goals from the goal square though.
Yeah, okay.
It
does take a lot of hangers.
We remind him of that. We sometimes reckon he's got a lolly stash in the goalpost with the goal umpire there, but he spends a bit of time there. But no, important piece to the puzzle of the way we play, and I think he'll be a great person for the footy club going for 10 years.
Yeah, he's a star. I'm going to put you on the spot here. This is going to be really hard, but I'm not taking no for an answer. Okay, you have to go, out of all your teammates you've played with, you have to go 3-2-1.
3-2-1?
Yeah.
Like one being the best?
One being the best, second being the second, and third being the third.
It's so hard. Like, it's hard when you cross two teams.
That's what I mean.
I think...
so you've got, just to name some, you got Gary Ablett Jr. in there.
Yeah, I didn't play that much with him though.
Did you not? Oh, because he
I
went
played
to
one
Gold
year,
Coast.
1 year, my first year, then he went to Gold Coast for a bit and then played for him at the end.
Yeah, okay.
So I'm going to exclude him.
Okay.
Well, I'm going to exclude him.
Yeah, okay. Fair.
And I'm not just picking me
Your
mates.
friends, yeah.
Like,
Otherwise, I'd be up there.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah.
But, oh, geez.
Because there's so many ways to do it.
I'm probably, and it's probably going to lean
Go
towards
3-2-1.
Yeah, it's probably going to lean towards this generation than
Okay. Yeah, because you've had the
past.
but that's fine.
Mark Blitzavs, number 3.
That's huge. One of the great men as well.
Yeah, in terms of just the ability to get the best out of himself, what he can do to the side, positions he can play, just everything.
Yeah.
So
how many Kajis has he won?
He's won two Kajis, one All-Australian. Just to build you kind of build your team around him. He might not be the best player, but the system revolves a lot about him.
It's actually a very good point. He could be one of the most underrated players of all time.
Yep. Even just durability, everything. He's nearly up to, I think he's at about 280. He'll be the next 300 for the Cats.
It's amazing.
Just signed another year. So,
Jesus.
Him?
Just to quickly talk about him a bit longer. So how many years in were you when he came? Because he was a mature age.
Yeah,
right?
so he didn't. I reckon his first full season was 2013.
Yeah, okay.
So he came in.
And were you just like, this bloke's going to be here and gone, see you later, mate?
A little bit.
Yeah. Because
in 2012, I think our VFL won the flag in 2012, and he didn't play in that team.
He didn't?
No.
Couldn't get a game?
Yeah. Couldn't get a game. And he had a year off to try and make the Olympics for that year.
Was he a steeplechaser or something, was he?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Steeplechase. Poor man's 1,500
metre
runner. Is what we like to say. Didn't play, played very minimal games. Came back, round 1, 2013, played. So it went from not playing at all, missing, not even getting chosen, to debuting in round 1 Easter Monday against Hawthorn, and then hasn't looked back. It's an amazing story. Just one that wanted to ask so many questions. He annoyed the absolute crap out of Harry Taylor and Andrew Mackie when he first came. And now he annoys the crap out of me.
Yeah.
No, not really. No,
But you think of obviously Tom Stewart, what he's been able to do and talk about. But no one speaks about Blitzer. He didn't even play footy.
Yeah. It's a phenomenal story. Geez, yeah, throw Tom Stewart in there. He'd probably be disappointed I didn't put him in there. And then Tom Hawkins, Joel Selwood.
So Joel won.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I know, but then I think about Matthew Scarlett.
Yeah.
Oh man, he was nearly going to be my 3. It was out of him and Blitz.
Yeah. No, I like what you've done with Blitz. I think you played a lot of footy with him, and it doesn't get the accolades he deserves. Yeah. But with Joel, obviously,
I think Joel was more. It's just the package.
Yeah, like everything about
everything.
Yeah,
it's not just like
just
on game day and his talent, and it's probably more like just everything. How he helped me when I first came to the footy club, what he was like in the community.
Yeah. Just all round guy.
Just everything.
Can you give us your number one Joel moment of like when you just went, holy fuck, like that's amazing?
Yeah.
It could be on field, could be off field, but like I'm just thinking there's got to be a moment where you've just been like, geez, that's even impressive for him.
Yeah.
Is he just strapped on his back? Or
he's done that numerous times.
Yeah.
I think that I don't even know if we won this final, but I think he kicked like the first 3 goals. He kicked 3 goals, maybe the first couple against Hawthorn in a final, and we were going. But we weren't going great. And you're just thinking, this
How can you not try hard when you got him on your team?
I know. Well, and I remember he gave me the biggest spray in my second year for not running to a cone. And it was so funny. He's like, what, you think you're too good now because you've played your first year kind of thing? And I was just like, okay. But I was just kind of like, well, this is how I say it now. I was admiring like still who I was playing with. At the start of my second year, I'm like, just running around, and he's like, how come you didn't run through that cone? And I was just like, I got scared of him by then. But I actually followed up because I'm like, mate, I was just like admiring everyone that I'm playing with. I'm like, so lucky to be here. Might have been a little bit of an excuse at the time, but like he just wanted to get the best out of you.
Yeah, what did he say to that?
Which would help him, if you know what I mean.
Yeah.
Like, what do you say to that? No, he didn't. He get nothing.
Yeah, just get it done.
Just get it done.
Fuck, that's cool. I think I've played with a couple guys. I think the only other person that I've sort of played with or know well enough that has that similar energy of like not wanting to let him down is Toby.
Yeah, I thought you were going to say him.
Yeah, like you just, and I didn't want to let anyone down.
Yeah,
but like when you. I knew the Giants were going to win on his 250 the other day.
Yeah.
Because you just don't, you can't, and you shouldn't be able to lift for certain games, but you just can sometimes.
Yeah.
And you're like,
it's so interesting.
There's certain guys you just don't want to let down.
The psyche of footy.
Yeah, which is pretty cool to say.
Yeah. No, he's, I love playing against him, and I got to know him a little bit through Jezza once he's got to the footy club, and it seems like, you'd love to have him on your team.
Who knows? Geelong probably will next year. Like fucking just get everyone these days. No, that's great. And mate, off the field as well, it's a hectic life for you. And I think that's actually probably one thing that I've really admired about yourself is I see what you've been able to do on the field, but then off, father of 4, great dad. How's that been growing up as a dad, I suppose, as well. Like,
playing.
One girl, Scarlett, and then you've had Ollie, Archie, and Parker as well. So she's a bit flat with that, I think.
Yeah, she is. But really happy about little Annie.
Yeah, she's very happy about
that.
Another girl,
little cousin, which she's pumped about. And yeah, it's I probably never envisioned playing footy and having kids, but it's probably the best thing that happened to me, obviously, having kids. But I suppose just the perspective it gives you, they don't care that I play footy. They probably think it's cool because their friends talk about it at times, but they don't really understand, I don't think. And they keep you so grounded. Like some of the first things that come out of Ollie's mouth or Scarlett's mouth, Archie, after a game is like, why'd you kick it out on the full?
Yeah.
Like, why'd you do that, Dad? Like, and that's what I just love about it because they just don't really understand. And a great perspective of probably the identity piece, I suppose. Like you lose that a little bit. You're like, I'm not a footy player to them, whereas to everyone else I am. And that's going to be another, just kind of going off topic, that's going to be another part that you kind of have to deal with once you finish footy. And maybe if you stay in footy, your identity's still footy related. But say I go into a podcasting gig or something like that, because you're offering a few jobs around. Your identity piece is probably something that you'll have to deal with, and which is often is what I speak about with Mark Worthington to help with your transition. But yeah, sorry, going back to the kids and the family, and Demi's played a massive part in my career. Like she, 2012, I think it was, we became girlfriend and boyfriend. And as I've spoken about before, Demi, she does a fantastic job at home. Obviously, keeps the house sane and runs a ship in that area. Often forget she has her own business that she has to deal with as well. So her finding time for that, sometimes she gets frustrated that she can't actually work. So sometimes I have to put myself on the back foot.
Mate, she's actually the real OG in the house. So you've got to step back so that she can sort of take that off, because Mister's is absolutely flying. Talk us through what it is for those who haven't heard, because Juz, we're in the phase of using this back at the moment. It's been dusted off back at home, and
mate, you need to get the new beige one.
Yeah, I know. I've got the black. The black on black.
New beige just looks sleek.
Very, very amazing, and it's so funny when someone and you see their business and it's killing it, and then I'll see like someone else using it, and I'm like, oh fuck, that's my cousin, and they're like, cool, like fuck off. But
well, the girls are a bit like that too. They often, if they see it in a pram, will go up and say g'day and see how it's all going. But
talk us through it. What is it for those who haven't heard?
Yeah, Mister. So it's a high quality thermos that houses sterilised water for formula feeding. So kind of not saying don't breastfeed, but when you run into those troubles where your baby's not latching on, we're going into real.
Well, we've got some latching issues at home at the moment with Annie. Actually, she's latching.
Yeah, or
well.
There's other things where the female can't breastfeed, or the gay marriages, things like that. There's always a solution. So they're just kind of like fed is best. That's their motto in a way, and taking the pressure out of breastfeeding and just making sure your baby's healthy. So
yeah, it's awesome. So it takes it heats the water up and stays at a good temperature.
It does. It kind of keeps it at an optimal temperature. It's got a temperature indicator in the lid. Blue being too cold, green being perfect or optimal temperature, and red being too hot. So just takes, I suppose, it gives you that peace of mind. That your water temperature is at a great feeding temperature, and if you're passing it to your grandparent or a babysitter or things like that, you're not relying on them to
heat the water up.
And
the best is when you're out at a restaurant as well. You don't have to ask for boiling water.
Yeah, boiling water, and then waiting for it to cool down. Your baby's crying, so yeah. Hopefully, it's just giving parents the peace of mind. It's really easy, and it looks good.
It does. It looks great. I actually I ran out of a drink bottle the other day, so I was actually using it for my own just hydration purposes as well. Anyway, moving on. That's weird. But go check it out, mister.com.au.
Yep.
MII?
MISSTA.
MISSTA.com. Dyl Friends, we should get a discount code, actually. Would you do a discount code for us?
I reckon she would, yeah.
20? 10? 15?
10.
Let's do it.
No, I don't know. Yeah. I don't want to get in trouble.
No, let's wait a sec. I'm gonna call her. Yo, hey, you're live on the pod.
Oh God.
We're doing a Mr. code. How much are we giving?
You can give 20% off.
Yes! Mitch was trying to do 10. I was like, that'd be a stinge.
Nah, we already do a welcome code for $10 off.
Come on, Mitch.
Or $20 off or 20%.
Let's do $20. Let's do $20, but minimum spend's $112.
See? Tight ass.
Mate. Okay, done. All right, so is that 20% or is that $20?
Let's do $20.
Okay, all right.
Off anything over $100.
Done. See ya.
See ya.
All right, so there you have it. The code is Dyl Friends. DYLANDFRIENDS. Oh, God, okay. Moving on. In-laws. Kerry and Jeff, my uncle and auntie, your in-laws.
In-laws.
Yeah.
Her family kind of came like a second family. My family was still in Perth. So it was great to have that support network as well. And then definitely since having kids, like babysitters-wise, and your mum's very similar to my mother-in-law's. They just do so much for the kids, and
Jeff,
and they love it. They love it, and so lucky in that space for their family, and then my family as well. obviously a massive part of the journey, the ups and downs, and to get me where I get to. I've got my dad and my stepmum and my mum and my stepdad that do still do plenty for me from when they did and up until now. So I hope they've enjoyed the journey. Hopefully there's still a few more stories to tell, but I thank them. I probably didn't thank them, my parents, enough on just recently when I got asked about giving me 300th. But yeah, they've been a massive part of it, obviously.
Good. Well, I'll be happy with that today.
Yes.
Zoe,
Demi's sister,
my cousin.
Yeah,
they're having a baby soon too, which is huge. And then Taya, who's just the former. He played with the Hawks as well. I don't know how you describe Taya. He's just one of a kind.
Yeah, he's playing for Port Arlington at the minute.
Yeah, they're going
okay.
They've been a shocking run, I
yes,
suppose, for a while. But
did.
Joff's gone down and fixed him up.
Yeah.
So Joff, actually, context too for those out there playing at home. Jeff Miles actually played for Geelong, West Coast, and Collingwood as well. Yeah.
So he was in the inaugural Eagles side.
Mm-hmm.
I think they beat Richmond in the first game. Then Geelong, then Collingwood, or Collingwood. I can't remember how it all went.
Not sure on the
I think it was Collingwood, Eagles, Geelong.
Yeah, finished up in Geelong.
Yeah,
it'd have to be.
Finished up in Geelong, and yeah, he gives some advice every now and then, but let you run your own show, and often gets stuck into Demi for getting in the way.
Joff, they're all amazing people. But just on Taya as well, because he'll be flat if he doesn't get a shout out. Taya's one of those ones now that he just sells you and I into everything that he's doing. Yeah. So I think he auctioned off a golf day, all this merch at his Port Arlington Golf Club without even really consulting us on that. And it's now been following up for the last 24 months.
I know, but your back's always sore.
My back's always sore. So, no, we've got to get down and actually play that game with a couple of the lucky winners of that one, which will be good.
Yeah.
The boys as well, mate, just quickly, it's pretty awesome to see. Ollie and Archie's probably one of the funniest kids I've ever seen in my life, and Parker obviously. But Ollie, his ball skills are second to none of the kid that age I've seen.
He must get it from his mum. Mm-hmm. No, he's got a good hand-eye coordination at the minute, but that obviously can change. Scarlett didn't manage to get that.
Scarlett.
She's more into her cartwheels and acrobatics and social side. She likes coming to the footy from a social perspective. But if a friend told her, let's have a sleepover, instead of going to the footy, she'd be jumping at the sleepover. Yeah. Footy's not really her cup of tea. But yeah, the boys they love it. They're often out in the backyard playing. You've seen that short snippet of him trying to be Sam Draper, kicking around the corner. They just pick up things so quick. It's amazing being kind of on the other side of it, is seeing how quick kids can pick up on things like celebrations, and that's where you have to be careful because they're always watching, what you're doing, whether it's social media or you don't realise how much of a role model AFL players can be, especially from kids at such a young age. And Archie's 3 and Ollie's 5, so definitely have to think about that more now, I think, as an AFL player. And yeah, hopefully they're only picking up on the good things at the minute.
How good. Mate, amazing. Very happy with today, and so good to finally get you in, mate. It's been an honour to sit down and chat, and obviously really appreciate our relationship and friendship, and just really proud of what you've been able to achieve thus far, and can't wait to see what's next. It's going to be a very exciting time, and a lot of beers to come, and a lot of cool things.
Can't blow out too much, mate. Can't have too many beers.
Yeah,
you get stuck into me.
That is, just got to get in the woodshed, mate, like myself, and
yes,
we'll keep going.
Appreciate it, mate.
Thanks,
Mitchell.
Well done.
Thank you.